Warning, this opinion is unpopular. Side effects may leave you triggered. All right, we about to get into one that's pretty good and interesting. CNN finally coming on the offense, interviewing these Democrats in these liberal cities and say, okay, we hear about Trump. We hear about raising taxes, you know, because Republicans are for the rich. So we got to take some of that tax money because we're offering all these things that would be so good if we could just get, some of that good old white dirty money. And they're pressing back. They're pressing back. They're saying, hey, in your city, they already have the highest taxes. What are you showing for it? What are you doing with collecting all this tax money? Since that always seems to be the Democrat talking point is we just need to take in more tax money and create more social programs. But what happens when the government, social programs, there's more of that going on than regular jobs. You can't have a bloated government because you're going to get nowhere. And let's get into the video, shall we?
You said you believed this theory that it might actually help bring back some of those manufacturing jobs. Did you see that it did any of that?
Yes, it was starting. I mean, the amount of investment that's coming back to this country that whooshed out of it, that created chronic trade deficits, that needs to be rectified. And you can do that through tariffs. You can do it through trade negotiations, and we were going the wrong way for a long time.
Governor Braun, Indiana also had exceptionally high levels of immigration in recent years when we checked the data. According to the Census Bureau, nearly 10% of your labor force are immigrants. What are the president's policies doing? Are you having a similar experience to Governor DeWine?
So Indiana, among the peer states, has the lowest unemployment rate, and we've got the highest economic growth rate, too. That's due to certain policies. But let's get back to the border. It was the same legislative template under the prior administration that encouraged tens of millions to come into the country. So just like when we were talking about the trade issues, go back to the source of why it occurred. Here, it was bad policy, calculated, I think, in a very political way to maybe think it's going to benefit you down the road electorally. Put that aside. That's a whole other issue. I think, though.
Just to be clear here, you're not talking about illegal people who cannot vote.
No, I'm talking about how the census is determined. How.
See how she tried to get him a gotcha? You're not talking about illegal people here. Like, is the big deal? They can't vote. Well, look, we know in Georgia, in Fulton, they've been voting. Like, Democrats are not against voter ID because these people have not been voting. It's the opposite. And like he told them, it's not just voting. The census, every state, they count their census, is based on your population. And it doesn't matter if you're a U.S. citizen or not, something the Supreme Court might want to look at and fixing in the future. But for now, it's based on your population size. And that's what determines how many electoral college votes each state gets. So, a place like California, they might have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 extra electoral college votes over there because their census is counting everyone, including illegals, right? So if you could pile in illegals into sanctuary cities, then those cities will get more electoral votes toward the overall count for their state. There's a lot of stuff if you're just getting into politics that you won't know. Like it'll take you years to figure out some of this stuff.
How your congressional districts are put together. All I can tell you, it was a mess in those 4 years. And the same legislative template was in place during the Biden administration that the Trump administration has used.
Boy. So we got to talk about CNN sounding the alarm on these blue states and blue cities across the country that are struggling with the same things that Democrats claim that they have the answers to. Like, for example, affordability, right? Democrats do not have any answers on that. In fact, they're the ones that are responsible for making the country so unaffordable in the first place. And even CNN, again, is calling this out by saying, hey, Democrats, you guys do a whole lot of complaining about Trump, but you might want to take care of your own backyard. You might want to take care of your own state. You might want to take care of your own city. You might want to look at all the problems that you got going on, right, before you try to criticize and judge others in regards to the job that they're doing when, again, your states, your cities are shithole.
Now come the taxes, because every political argument in New York eventually ends up at the same curbside. Who will pay? New York already sits at the extreme end of the American tax spectrum.
That's what I'm saying.
For high earners, the combined state plus city income tax reaches 14.776%. Add federal taxes and the combined marginal rate can exceed 50%, reaching roughly 55% on certain investment income. New Yorkers pay tax rates comparable to European countries that provide in return universal health care, free college education, and amazing infrastructure. New Yorkers get some 300 miles of sidewalk sheds. On business taxation, the city is also off the charts. The Citizens Budget Commission reports that New York City business activity faces the country's highest combined corporate tax rate, 17.44%, once state, city, and regional layers are stacked. Mamdani wants to hike income and corporate rates even further, or else he says he will raise property taxes by almost 10%. Property taxes already made up more than 27% of the cost of home ownership in the city as of 2022, above the national average. New York is really a prime example of a problem Democrats seem unwilling to confront. Blue cities are out of control, promising more, spending more, delivering less, and pushing.
Was this CNN? Because he's straight up, he's telling them, he's giving it to them straight.
Off the fiscal problems to some future day. Take Los Angeles, another one-party metropolis wrestling with affordability and disorder. The city's homelessness budget for fiscal year 2025-26 totals about $950 million. The LA Homelessness Services Authority reported that in 2023, homelessness was up 9% countywide and 10% in the city. And a 2024 AP account noted that homelessness has surged 70% countywide since 2015 and 80% in the city. All this amid public frustration despite billions spent. An audit reviewed $2.4 billion in city homelessness funding and found that officials could not reliably track where it went or what it achieved. Or take Chicago, with a mayor whose approval rating is deep underwater, where the pension promises are so large that they will surely bankrupt the city at some point. What is the theory of good government here? If the answer is keep adding programs, the city will keep producing unaffordability, because unaffordability is what happens when government becomes a machine that grows faster than the society it governs. Zohran Mamdani's basic instinct is correct. Focus on affordability, especially housing, but not by providing government subsidies. These only seem to have driven up the cost of rent, as subsidies naturally do. The city's rental assistance spending rose from $263 million in fiscal year 2020 to $1.34 billion in the most recently reported fiscal year. That is a 5 times increase in a handful of years, and housing costs only got worse.
Ding, 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 ding. Right.
Look, Zakari made an excellent point. Like I was trying to say, you can't have government growing bigger than the people it's supposed to represent. You have the people, and then the government's over here, and they do whatever they can do. But the people are supposed to splurge in capitalism societies and give everybody a chance. Now, everything's not created equal, because if everybody made the same amount, there will still be some people losing their jobs, going to jail for things like kidnapping, murder, rape. And these people wouldn't work. They would work illegally, right? And then they would create slums, which they sell the drugs to. And then you would just have poverty all over again. You can't escape poverty, just like you can't escape people who will have a knack to be a hustler and make it to the top. Those two extremes will always exist. those rare people at the top that got a knack to making, those people who always find themselves to the bottom. So what you gonna just keep uplifting the people who are fucking up? No, what you do is like, we're not gonna touch it. If you do bad, boom, you're gonna go to jail. If you do good, hey, sky's the limit. Make as much as you want. But in this case, you can't have government that's bigger than the society, society that is supposed to help. So what's happening is, it's not that in blue cities they don't get enough tax money to do all these government fantastic bells and whistles that they want to implement. They actually do. The problem is, when they get the money, they're fraudulent. They're stifling the money. They're not doing nothing with the money like they're supposed to. Like the damn train to nowhere in California that costs like, I don't know, billions of dollars, and they barely lay down one rail of track. So yeah, they're getting the money, and that's the thing. They keep getting the money, and they are getting the money. If you get my drift, what I'm saying. And so that's why they're like the preacher, you know what I'm saying? And they keep taking. And the people are not seeing nothing in return. But as long as they convince you the other side is racist, well, you can't sell out them and go along with a racist, can you? So I think that whole idea, the Republicans are the racists, I think as time goes on, Democrats not going to have a leg to stand on, because they certainly don't win you over by, look, they talk a good game, but the results are crap. Republicans don't talk much of a good game, but they're going to do exactly what they say they're going to do. Hey, that's the difference in the two parties.
Dig. Some rare journalism.
And shout out to this man here. Credit to him, the Black Conservative. If you haven't done so already, check his channel out. The brother is the truth. I fucks with you. I rocks with you.
CNN, where you have an anchor actually lay out all the facts about how the Democrats are full of shit when it comes to this idea that they can actually solve affordability. Again, they're the ones that are responsible for making the country so unaffordable in the first place. But you don't have to look that far to see that they don't have any answers when it comes to this, because of the fact that their cities are the most unaffordable in the country, right? They're the highest tax, and you get the least out of it, right? With your tax dollars, okay? The return on investment per tax dollar that they're taking away from you, that they're confiscating away from their own people, is low, okay? The results are not good. They don't have the socialism that they want in Europe, despite the same levels of taxation, right?
They don't have the socialism like they inspire to be like in Europe. They always mention how, well, in Europe, the hospitals are free, this is free, that's free. It's not because they don't take in the money and tax the rich, because they do plenty of that. It's the fact that when they get the money, they're bad at governing. Democrats, they're good at taking money, swindling, political hustling, and cheating and robbing and stealing and being corrupt, but they're horrible at governing the money they take. You can't say Republican. Look, when I moved from New Orleans and in Baton Rouge over here to, I ain't gonna tell y'all exactly where I'm at, but in Florida, it's a Republican. I can see, goddamn, where the tax money's going. I'm not gonna tell you they don't take money too, but every year, once a year, the roads get paved. Once a year, the roads are getting paved. No potholes anywhere. The schools are good. Crime is low. So that's tax dollars well spent. Because the government is in charge of all of that. Government is in charge of crime. Whether you have been led to believe it or not, but they're in charge of crime. Meaning they put enough resources, crime goes down. If they don't care about it, crime goes up. They're in charge of schools. If you got shitty schools, it's because maybe they're giving money, but the money's not making it to the school. Maybe it's making it to the school board, but not the school. The roads are bad. It's making it to the contractors, but not actually, it's not a well-oiled machine of people who come and do the work on the roads. So these are things you start to notice when you leave Democrat cities and go into Republican cities. Now, if we just talking about small towns that don't get a lot of money, well, poor is poor, Republican or Democrat. But when we're talking about cities, man, look, that thing in California, they tax people more to bring money to help the homeless. And the homeless end up getting less. They end up having more homeless after it was all said and done. You gotta know what's happening out here, man.
Because Democrats don't know how to govern. They don't know how to govern.
Oh, they know what they're doing.
And we got a prime example of a Democrat who, again, does not know how to govern, but is pretending as if he knows how to govern. And this is why he is likely running for president. But even, again, CNN anchor Dana Bash, who's very Democrat friendly, let's be real, this woman is not really going to press Gavin Newsom that hard here. But even she is going to confront Gavin Newsom on quote-unquote affordability and why is it that California is so unaffordable right now. And, of course, Gavin Newsom has no answer. So let's get into it.
For this administration.
I do want to, while we're on the economy, ask about affordability. Because, yes, people are struggling all across the country. California has the highest cost of living in the nation. The state's prices are 11% higher than the national average. We were actually out to dinner here in Nashville last night. We met a couple from California.
Yeah.
They moved out of California because they couldn't afford the rent or even to buy a home and also start a family.
Yeah, we've had hundreds of thousands of people moving in California the last 2-3 years. We've seen population growth. As you know, we moved from 6th to the 4th.
He's seen population growth of illegals. Because we all know they're one of the number one states in the country where people are moving to red states. It's coming from California. So how do you have population growth? These are people who you could track in the census data to get more electoral votes, but not people you're going to track by a social security number or paying into taxes. Because when you look at Texas and some of the other red states in Florida who have received a ton of migration of people coming into their states, they're all coming from blue states, and California is like the number one state they're coming from. So one can't be true, both can't be true. Or maybe both can be true, but I'm telling you, they're coming from his state. So yeah, he's getting an influx of people, but he's not telling you what kind of people. Right? These people are pulling a game I never even 5-10 years ago thought was unimaginable. And that's another thing too. If you've been out of the loop in politics, man, there's so much shit going on right now. You would just think it's conspiracy or BS. And it ain't BS, brother. It's not BS. These people really are in it for the power.
Largest economy in the world.
The only population growth that you've seen in California are illegal immigrants, right? That's it, right? Those are the only people who are coming to California, right? People who are actually American citizens who are here legally, they're moving out of California. So again, this is just BS and gaslighting here from Gavin Newsom, but it's par for the course, right? He's going to cherry pick statistics to make his state look good, but it doesn't excuse the fact that, again, his state is probably the most unaffordable state in the union.
We dominate now in every key industry, from AI, quantum, robotics. We dominate in ag. We dominate forestry.
But people are struggling to afford things like your mom was.
And that's why we did $11.
Like your mama was.
First.
People are struggling to afford things like your mom was. Now, I don't know what Dana Bash means by that.
Boy, she came with the receipts.
Gavin Newsom's mom died back in, I don't know, the early 2000s.
She came with the receipts like your mama was.
Maybe, just maybe, California has been unaffordable for a long time, right? It's been run by Democrats for a long time. But
hold on, man. We can't just gloss over what she just told him. That was a complete bombshell. People are struggling, Gavin, in California. They broke just like your mama was. I mean, that is hit you in the damn chin and then kick you while you fall down. Go ahead, Dana. You finally, maybe they don't like Galvin, so they're like, I think the media kind of plays a role because they got money on who they want to be the nomination. And what this tells me is that CNN is probably think he is just going to sling mud and make whoever they want to be the nominee look bad. So why not just give them a couple hard gut checks right now? Because that's not something you just say to a friendly. That
in mind, his in-laws moved out of California, right? In 2020, they moved to Florida. So again, you have people who are leaving California. Even his own family members are leaving California because of how bad it has been governed under his watch, under Democrat leadership for years.
Yeah.
Of its kind in the United States. It's why we have universal health care and the lowest uninsured rate in the country, 6.4%. It's why we just subsidize over 300,000 child care slots, more than any other state in the nation. That's why 65% of people graduate from the UC and CSU with zero debt. It's why
Said something about subsidizing child care slots. Like, he's helping people with and families and mothers with kids. What did we see that the Democrats did in Minneapolis with the child care and the Somalis? They had daycare clinics and units and daycare facilities that there was no kids at. But when you look online, they were receiving $1 million, $2 million in federal funds. I guarantee you when they make their way to California, they're going to see the same rigatoni shit going on over there in California. He's bragging about the fraud, but he's hoping you don't know about the fraud, but he has receipts. Oh, yeah, I got my state, the federal government, to give us money for child care services because I care about the children. I bet when you do some digging, you're going to find some of the same fraud with child care in California, which is like 10 times bigger than Minnesota, than there is in Minnesota. I guarantee.
we have the highest minimum wage for healthcare workers, $25 in the United States. For fast food workers, $20 in the minimum, $20 minimum wage. So we're looking at it from both sides. While we have a parents' agenda that expanded paid sick leave and extended to 8 weeks of paid family leave, all to support families, to address cost of living, and to address the affordability crisis that goes back literally 70 years in California. For one reason, we're as dumb as we want to be on housing. We haven't been able to get out of our way. It explains more things in more ways and more days of what's wrong with our state. And finally, we move forward with historic housing reforms that even
how long this dude been governor of California? He's saying now he finally moved forward with historic housing reforms. I think they're housing illegals in dirt cheap homes and like huts that probably the average American would never live in. And they're going to do that to put some numbers up to say that they're housing people historically. Look, that's just my hunch. This is the Unpopular Opinion Show. Oh, and by the way, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, show the channel some love. And if you need to leave a comment in the comment section, go ahead and leave one in the comment section if you got something on your mind. We'd love to hear your thoughts here.
our worst critics, including some on the left, like my friend Ezra Klein, acknowledged were the most progressive and perhaps most impactful reforms in a generation to finally address that issue.
This guy is so dumb. He's so dumb. I'm going to tell you why he's so dumb. All of those handouts sound great, right? Yeah. $25 an hour minimum wage, this subsidy, that subsidy, right? Basically say, hey, look, we hand out a bunch of money, right? But that's why taxes are high. That's why the state is unaffordable, is because you keep handing out all these government freebies to people, driving up costs, right, for everybody. So the more money that you hand out, the more unaffordable the state becomes. Now, again, this guy has admitted that California has been unaffordable, literally, for decades, right? He hasn't fixed a damn thing about it. He's claiming, well, now all of a sudden we have historic reform in housing. I guarantee you, nothing's changing, right, when it comes to California and that housing problem, right? But this guy, again, he's so stupid that he will say whatever he thinks he needs to say in an interview without actually thinking about whether or not what he's saying actually really aligns with what he's trying to sell to the American people, which is, hey, I can solve affordability. I'm gonna give you an example. This guy got questioned by Adam Mockler, who's a Democrat Party propagandist, a propagandist for Midas Touch, about taking money from the oil industry, right? And this dude literally bragged about being the most anti-oil guy, right? He's the most anti-oil guy, while gas prices are out of control in California.
We got to get these special interest groups, these disproportionately powerful interest groups and lobbyists out of politics so we can make real progress for the American people. I want to list off some special interest groups, and will you say yes or no if it'll take money from them?
All right, let's go.
What about big oil?
Oh, seriously? You're talking to the wrong guy. Like literally, big oil's number one enemy is me. So not a chance.
Look at that big smile on his face. Ha ha. He does not like the oil companies. Meanwhile, they got the highest gas in all of the country. This guy is a joke. That guy says lies because one thing, you know those fact checkers CNN does? I guarantee they'll never come back and fact check this guy. So he just sits up there, lie after lie after lie after lie, you know? And it's a slick way of lying. It's like, yeah, we allocated money to this over here, but that money was not spent on that over there. That money went straight into your pockets and others like you pockets, because goddamn.
It's in hell.
Big tobacco.
And by the way, they are the polluted heart of this climate crisis. Big oil and the lies and the mistruths they've been perpetuating the American people on the global world and the globe are disgraceful.
Big tobacco.
No damn way. Yeah.
What about APAC?
APEC never have and will never will.
Were you promised to fight back against these disproportionately powerful special interest groups that are hurting the American people?
Look, I think you follow the money. Every time something goes wrong, follow the money. I support it. I continue to support it. We've struggled with it, but public finance.
He don't want you following the money. Trust me. He's saying it, but he don't want you to follow the money. Trust me. And he must have told this guy, hey, man, come interview me and let's talk about APEC, the oil companies, and big tobacco. Let's make that like it's an issue. And it is an issue because his gas prices are sky high in his fucking state. And he's acting like he's anti-gas. This guy is... I mean, he's worse than a clown.
We do this. We're constantly doing what we call clean money campaign, and we have to do more and better in that respect. But it's the revolving door, special interest and lobbying, all the self-dealing with stocks portfolios. I think we need to have some version of term limits for Congress. I mean, we have to be a reform-oriented party, and that's something in the past we were defending the status quo. Trump took advantage of that. Democratic Party needs to lean in. And when it comes to lobbying reform and it comes to these corporate special interests, we have to be much more aggressive. California's leading, but we still, with humility, have a lot more work to do, which I take responsibility to do more better.
All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. You know not to believe a damn thing. This dude really should have been a preacher. He'd have made a great preacher. I mean, he's charming, he's charismatic, convincing. The 3 C's, that's him. And he's from California. Look, guys, like I said, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you got a comment, leave a comment in the comment section below.